Hello, everyone. Shalom. This is Rabbi Dan from Charles E. Smith Faith Communities, presenting to you, as we try to do every week, the Parshat Shelach, the portion of the week. Hope you're all well and continuing to tread through our new lives here. And we are doing well in our family. The children are out of school now, and we are figuring out our summer without camps, without other forms of usual summer entertainment, but we're doing well. And I encourage you to reach out to me at the number below for any issues you may have, anything you'd like to talk about. That number, I will read it out, 860-578-0746. 860-578-0746. That's my cell phone number. It was easier to remember. You can always call down to your front desk and ask them to forward your phone to me, and that will forward to my cell phone or anywhere else I am on campus. We also have a list of volunteers who are very happy to talk with you, just to have someone to talk with. And this is always important, I think, to engage in conversation, engage in socialization. We often use the term social distancing, but really many people have offered the word physical distancing, as this creates the idea that we can still be social just through technology. As simple as a phone call, as complicated as a Zoom call, as somewhat less complicated than your fantastic staff coming around with their virtual screens. But in any event, I do encourage you to reach out. If you'd like to speak with someone beyond your normal circle, we have plenty of people who are very happy to do so. And on to the Parsha. So this week's Parsha is Parshat Shelach, Shelach Lecha. Last week was Parshat Bahalotecha, and we finished off that week with the people getting ready to understand that they will now transition from walking in the desert to walking in the Holy Land. It should have been that, in many ways, perhaps, that would have been the end of the Torah. We left Egypt, we went to Mount Sinai, we walked through the desert, we got to close to the Jordan, I imagine, and we were ready to enter the land. We even, had a census preparing us to transition. And this was, of course, a promise given all the way back, many generations, from Abraham to Abraham and Sarah, from God. And now the people were ready to enter the Holy Land. However, the people had heard, I suppose, that there were large tribes, maybe large armies in the land. And how did they know that the land was so great? How did they know the land was worth it? Maybe we could set up land elsewhere. In Uganda, maybe we could go anywhere else, Poland. But so the people wanted and went to Moshe and asked, could they send their own diplomats, their own scouts to this land to, again, see if the land was arable, see if the land was worth it, and see if the land was possible to conquer. And so Moshe is hesitant, but does ask God, and God says, Shelach Lecha, in the beginning of this week's Parsha, tells the people to send 12 men into the land to see how it would be. And we may know the outcome of this adventure. I'll say it quickly. The people go, the men go, 12 of them, 10 of them come back with a negative report, and the people mourn. The people see that the land is filled with giants, as they say. And only 2 of the spies of the 12 come back with a positive report, coming back saying that this land is wonderful, saying this land is a place where that God will help us conquer. And the 10 that are left, the 10 that are saying the negative reports, are called an Adah, are called a group, a collection of people. And in fact, those 10 men that are called an Adah is the first time 10 people are called a community, even though they were called a bad community. That is what we call a minyan, and that is the source of the in the Torah, where the Jewish tradition requires 10 people. In some traditions, there are 10 men in the Orthodox tradition. But whatever your belief is, that source comes from this parsha. And so the people mourn that the land is not possible, and God gets very angry because God promised that they would enter the land. Despite the challenges, they would still enter the land. And so God says that if you're crying about this fear, you're crying about this unrealized dream, that he will give us something to cry about. And here, our destiny is changed dramatically. As I mentioned, we should have entered the land of Israel immediately, but instead we are told that almost all of the members of those that left Egypt would stay in the desert and die in the desert. For God would not allow the tribe to go into the land for another 40 years. So essentially what happens is that most of the tribe knows now, or at least is concerned, that they will be among the many, the over 90%, that will simply just wander in the desert until they die. Will simply have nothing else to do with their lives other than to be in the desert and never see the hope of Israel realized. And this is perhaps the only 40 years for many of them, that truly the only 40 years of our entire Jewish narrative where we can never really believe that there would be Jews in the Holy Land. Never have Jews in the land of Israel. Once they enter the land, of course, they're there. And then every moment after that, they may have gone in and out. But there is always a settlement of Jewish people in the land of Israel, however small. There is always some Jews left in the land of Israel. And so, but these group of people, most of them, the wide majority of them, knew that they would never go in. Certainly the 10 that said it was bad, and many more that were crying about not going in, they certainly would not be among the very, very few who would get to go in. Only their children would go in. And so their hopes are cut off. And it's a very interesting thought to have, is that what is a Jew without the hope of returning to the land of Israel? Just the possible hope. Now, I don't think I will ever move to Israel, as long as my mother is still alive, at least, and may she live and be well. And then by that point, 40 years or whatever it is when she passes away, my children will then be grown up, and they'll want to either stay or not, or make aliyah, go and move to Israel perhaps. But I don't think we would think about moving to Israel without all of them, or at least a majority of them and their children would have to move to go there. So it is unlikely that I'll go also, but at least there's a hope that there is some Jewish settlement there. At least I know that I feel that connection, that land is Jewish. And we can all debate even we all have a right, those that are Jewish and those that are not Jewish have a right to debate how much land belongs to the Jewish people, and if it should be a Jewish state or should it be a place where Jews live. That's all politics. That's all in a modern understanding of what it means for Jews to be there. At a very minimal level, it is still possible for us to live in Zion, us to live in Jerusalem, to live in Israel generally, even if there wasn't a Jewish state. I personally believe that there should always be a Jewish state, and I have a very conservative idea of what that would be. But whatever it is, you don't have to be conservative to believe that there will always be some amount of Jews there. Even if it was two states, even if it was one state that was not Jewish in character, we can still have Judaism thrive in that land and Jews live in that land. So there's always a hope, and that hope will now, I can believe with certainty, never die, that Jews will always be able to return to the land in some number. So we can always hold on to that hope and always hold on to that connection. But these people that knew that they would wander for 40 years in the desert without going to the land, that would die in the land, they knew that those dreams were over. And that really is the main point of this Parshat Shelach. But I want to focus on two very important bookmarks of this story, of this Parsha. The very first words of the Parsha, it says, Shlach lecha anashim vayaturu et aretz Canaan asher ani noten lifnei Yisrael. Ish echad lemateh avotav v'tishlachu kol nasi behem. We'll focus here on the word Shalach lecha anashim. So God says to send men, anashim, very clearly men, but that's for a later point. Anashim, and this is the most important word, vayaturu. Translated here, and in many places, as to scout. Now, this is often referred to as the Hate Meraglim. All of this is referred to as the sin of the spies. But here, it does not call them spies. It says, and it doesn't say to spy, it says to scout, by Yaturu. And the Unclus, the most earliest translation of these words of the entire Torah, tells us that they did something called vayalu. They went around. They just kind of walked around the land. They did not go in secret. This was not subservience or under any kind of cover of darkness. They very obviously went into the land and very obviously saw what was there. But this word is very important. And we will see it again at the end of the Parsha. We jump all the way to the end of the Parsha to see the different text. And this text actually comes from, of course, the third paragraph of the Shema. Right? Here we talk about the tzitzit, the fringes on the talit, the talis. והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם. It says, you should look at your fringes, look at them and recall the commandments, so that you are not swayed by your eyes. And the English translation got cut off here. But it says basically, lo tatsur, that you should not allow your eyes to be strayed from the commandments. You should not go towards things that are strange. But what's important here is lo tatsuru, you should not allow your eyes to be averted from what is the real truth. Even though your eyes may see something, even if your heart, levavchem, even if your heart may see something different, you should not allow that to change what you know in your heart is the truth. And this is really at the crux of what the Parsha is about. When these 12 men were sent to the land of Israel, they saw in their eyes, and they saw even with their hearts, a very difficult land to conquer. And perhaps what they saw wasn't even that physically interesting, although the other two spies did actually see land that was good to take back and good produce to bring back. But the core 10 that brought back the negative reports saw a land that was neither worth it to conquer nor able to conquer, possible to conquer. And they did this action called Turu, that they looked around and they saw and they got the physical evidence. And this same word, of course, is used in the Parsha, in the end of the Parsha, that we take from the paragraphs of the Shema. And Rashi and others talk about these two words at the bookends of the Parsha to remind us that we may see in this world physical reminders of things that we can't change and things that we can feel negative about. But there is something deeper to this world, things that we cannot see and things that are not possible to obtain physical evidence and an obvious answer to. And this, of course, is really what differentiates belief and science, or belief and knowledge. I know that I am talking to you through this recording, this video recording. I know that I have this blue and white shirt on, but I believe that this world has a greater value to it, a greater dominance to it, and that dominance and that magnificence is God. And sometimes the world paints a very difficult picture. And sometimes it seems like things will not get better and things will not ever change. And it's hard to understand that. It's hard to see beyond that, but there is something greater than this world and the physical truth. And there is some greater idea of what the world is. What's very nice, though, at the end of the Parsha, when it talks about the tzitzit, and the tzitzit, again, are the fringes on our prayer shawls, the fringes on our talit that we're required to wear, not just on our prayer shawl, but there was a time when more people wore four-cornered garments, like a cloak or a tunic, things that have not shirts that have various ends to it, but a cloak that had four corners to it. It became, those are things they used to wear, but now we pretty much just wear it on our talises, our talitot. And they therefore become a reminder when we wear them that we have this idea that we should not allow our physical idea to just see what it is. We need to see beyond the physical world, to see God within this very physical world. And within the talis, there also is the requirement to wear the techelet. The techelet, the blue, and this actually was accidental that I wore this blue and white shirt. But the requirement is that we wear blue within our talitot. We wear blue within our, not just the talis, not just those stripes you see either black or blue within a talis, but within the tzitzit itself should be this dye called techelet that creates what we see as a blue color. Now, over the years, many rabbis have understood that we've lost the techelet, we've lost the dye. We have not been able to find the animal, the animal that creates this dye. That's been lost. So many people do not wear any blue in their fringes anymore. But many do, because many believe that we found that dye in Israel, and that has been used to make many techelet, talitot, and tzitziot over many years now. So you'll see some rabbis and some others wear blue in their tzitzit, and many more who wear blue in their talitot, in their prayer shawls itself. Now, I don't know the history of when the blue stripes in our talis became a black stripe in the talis, so I won't go into that. But this essentially is why many talitot have the blue stripe, because you can have the blue stripe even if you don't believe you can have the dye within the tzitzit itself. But in any event, the original core mitzvah, the core commandment, is to have the fringes. Now, whether or not we're able to find it today is irrelevant to the core that there was a time when all Jews were able to wear the techelet in their tzitzit. Those people that did. Some women, most women did not wear tzitzit. But that's for a different story. So not all Jews, of course, but those that did. And I'm talking about the men that do. But the point of all of that, without really getting all that distraction of who wears it and what wears it and what the dye is, the point is that the very core mitzvah had two colors, white and blue. The main core idea was the white, but also the blue within it. And both were integral to the wearing of these four-cornered garments. And if you think about the blue and white, of course, has become a symbol of our people, more in modern times, of course. Within the flag itself of the state of Israel, we have blue and white. And it's no coincidence that the flag looks like a tallis. The blue stripes, the top and the bottom, forgetting about the Star of David for a minute, but the blue stripes make it look like a tallis, have the techelet within it. And so this following idea is brought up by my rabbi, Rabbi Weiss, the founder of Yeshivat Chovevei Torah and many other things. But he tells us that the blue is to remind us, and I believe he gets it from the Gemara in Menachot, the blue is to remind us of the sky above and the ocean below. The vast ray and the vast expanse of the ocean that in many places, if you were to look at the shores of our lands, although we know that there is another land beyond what we see, when we look at the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or any other ocean, we cannot really see the other landmass. And so if we just release from our minds what's there, the physical knowledge that there's more landmass on the other side of that sphere, we can see the wide expanse of the world, and even more so with the skies. We know that beyond the blue atmosphere of the earth, there is black, there's the vacant space, and there are many other infinite amounts of masses of planets and such outside that, and stars and everything else there is in the solar system. We know that that's there, but if we look just at it, we can see the expanse of the whole universe. And so within our talit, within our tzitzit, we have both of those colors. We have the white, which is our normal, everyday, ongoing physical knowledge, our own physical evidence of what is there. But then we have the blue, and the blue reminds us of everything else in the expanse of this universe. Everything else that we can't put our exact finger on and can only sort of know and believe it's there. And this is really where we are in our struggle, and really we are in this almost contrast of the world of trying to put together what we know and what we believe. We know in the world around us, we know what we can put our finger on, we know what we're told, we have knowledge of science, but then there is the belief of that which is everything around us. And so as we look to this commandment of the tzitzit, we can see and remind ourselves that we should not just allow ourselves to be swayed by what we see and even what our heart tells us, but to know and to feel our faith beyond that. And so on a dark day, on a day when we feel things do not seem right, a day when we feel that God has abandoned us, a day when we feel that there is only more tragedy and more time to deal with our tragedy. We believe in a world beyond that, and I believe in a world where we feel God is with us and does have a rhyme and a reason, even if we can never understand it. I wish everyone a very lovely week and a Shabbat Shalom, and hope we will see each other soon as we can. And to please reach out to me, and to please reach out to your staff for connection with our volunteers and a connection with me. Shabbat Shalom.